How about that? I've been building guitars since 1967, which is 43 years. I heard a guitar player named Buddy Guy, a black guy who played just exquisite lead guitar, and I wanted to be able to do that. So I needed a rock and roll guitar, and I had no money at the time and no sense, so I went out and spent what money I did have on some tools and some wood and made a guitar, which wasn't really quite good enough, so I had to make another one. And somebody in my community at that time in Vancouver, British Columbia, saw me doing this and asked if I would make him one. And it just kind of went on like that. It was about 4 or 5 years before I realized that I had a job. There's a fantastic luthiery community. I think there are probably 500 roughly people in North America who would like to think of themselves as a luthier, and I think that there are probably something like 25 who are actually making their living at it. There's a group of people here called the Northern California Association of Luthiers, and there are about 200 members in that group who are active. There are probably more actually, and of those I would say that about 20 of them are probably professionals or would-be professionals, capable of being professionals. Most of the luthiers I know have had their business completely tank in the last 2 years. And so they are, attrition is happening, they're dropping out, looking for other things to do, rethinking it. I know several luthiers who've been in it for years who haven't written a new order in over a year. I get asked a dozen times a year to accept an apprentice. I'm much more interested in working alone. I do think about taking an apprentice because as I mature, in other words, get old, it seems sad to not pass it on. At this point, I think my curve is rising, where I was expecting it to be falling right now, or peaking and falling, but it isn't. In the work, an apprentice would really slow me, unless it was the right apprentice. And that apprentice may yet show up. In fact, I think I met that apprentice 3 or 4 years ago, but it wasn't my time yet to take him. But he's, was one of the things that's caused me to think about it. A guitar is potentially a living object, and it was lumber, or chunks of wood, which you can make sound on them if you hit them hard enough with a big enough hammer. And the more lumber-like the guitar is, the less responsive it's going to be to the sound. Now, the closer then you get the thing to basically flying apart under the tension, the more responsive it is. And to have a really great guitar, you have to get it really close to what I call the abyss, the edge of destruction, where it will fly to pieces. Just a little less strong and it will fly to pieces. And it needs to stay there. It has to be that sensitive, and it can't fail today or tomorrow. It has to last for years. So what they have to do in a production situation is they have to overbuild the guitars consistently so that they stay together, so they're closer to lumber. They work, but they can't be very sensitive. So I'm putting in between 50 and 60 hours of actual work a week. And because the guitars are several week-long processes, even if I build just one, start to finish, it's about 5 weeks. The advantage of the handmaker like myself is that each and every guitar I handle, every piece of wood, I can take it down right to the brink, and I end up with a guitar which is incredibly sensitive, and it is not even subtle when you compare it to any production guitar, what I and my peers at my level are able to do. It is not subtle at all.